There's a jar sitting on my kitchen counter right now, and if you walked into my apartment and picked it up, you would swear it was salt. Big, coarse, white crystals. It pours like salt. It feels like salt in your hand. And the carton it came in cost me $4 at the drugstore 2 blocks over. That one $4 carton is going to feed every pepper plant, every tomato plant, and every container of herbs on my balcony from now until the first frost. But before you go anywhere near your garden, I need you to hear this part. This is not table salt. Do not take the shaker off your kitchen table and pour it on your soil. Table salt will ruin a garden bed, it will ruin a bucket of potting mix, and it does not simply wash away with the next rain. What is in my jar shares a name with salt, and almost nothing else. It is the reason a pale, sulking pepper plant out on my balcony came back to life and handed me peppers into October. Stay with me all the way to the end, because your plant tells you it needs this long before it ever stops growing. It shows up in one exact spot, the same spot every single time. And once I show you where to look, you will never guess about a yellow leaf again. I'm Jake, though most folks know me as Backyard Buddy. 3 years ago, I was the guy who killed houseplants, and I mean that literally because I once managed to kill a cactus, which takes real commitment. Then, one Tuesday evening, I tossed a bunch of green onion ends toward the trash can, missed, and they landed in a glass of water on the counter. 3 days later, they had sprouted, and since then, I have regrown hundreds of plants from kitchen scraps on my windowsills and my balcony. My grocery bill has dropped by nearly a third, and my neighbor Gloria, 2 floors up, a retired school teacher who has been growing on her own balcony for 20 years, taught me half of what I know. Every summer used to go the same way out there. In May, it all looked wonderful. The pepper plants I started from seeds out of a store bought bell pepper were dark green and setting flowers, and the tomatoes in the 5-gallon buckets were climbing their strings. Then, somewhere around the middle of July, the whole balcony quit on me. The leaves went pale, not brown, not spotted, not chewed on by anything. Pale, tired yellow, with the veins still showing green through them like lines on a road map. The plants stopped setting fruit. And I did the thing that felt obvious, which was decide I had been underfeeding them and go buy another bottle of plant food. $11 for that bottle. It did nothing because that bottle was mostly nitrogen, and nitrogen was not what those plants were short of. So then I watered more, because a yellow plant looks thirsty. And every single time I watered, I was quietly making the real problem worse. That runoff on my balcony floor looked like nothing at all. It was the whole problem, and I will show you why in a few minutes. Meanwhile, I was back at the grocery store in August, standing in the produce aisle paying close to $2 for 1 bell pepper, off plants that were supposed to be feeding me for free. And remember what I told you about the plant telling you first. Those pale bottom leaves were a warning sign, and I ignored them for 2 entire summers. There is one place on a plant where this always begins, and I am holding it for the end. Because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Now, this little $4 carton is one small piece of something much bigger, and all of it is sitting in a book I put together called The 30-Day Kitchen Scrap Garden Protocol. 0 waste, 0 experience, free food. It is the complete 30-day plan for turning the scraps your kitchen already throws away into food growing on your own windowsill. 31 regrowable crops, and every one of them has its own plain instructions. A $10 starter kit, gathered from things you mostly already own. A day-by-day plan that starts with 1 glass of water and ends with you cutting your own food. And full troubleshooting for when a scrap sulks on you, which happens to everybody, and it still happens to me. It is written for folks with 0 experience, no yard, and close to 0 budget, because that was me 3 years ago. $17, marked down from $47. One time, $17, against a grocery bill that gets a little smaller every single week after. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. All right, back to that jar on my kitchen counter, because you need to know exactly what is in it before one crystal goes anywhere near your plants. What is in that jar is Epsom salt. You have almost certainly walked past it, sitting in the pharmacy aisle near the bandages in a plain white carton sold mostly for soaking sore feet. Its proper name is magnesium sulfate. It picked up the name Epsom from a little town in England where it turned up in a bitter spring hundreds of years ago, and the name stuck. It looks like coarse salt, and it is not salt at all, at least not the kind on your table. Table salt is sodium chloride. Sodium is the part that wrecks soil. It shoves the good minerals off the soil particles. It collapses the structure of the dirt until water cannot move through it properly. And then your plant roots sit there, unable to pull in water, even when the ground around them is wet. It does not rinse out in a week either. Folks have spent years fixing a bed they salted once. Epsom salt has no sodium in it. None. What it has is magnesium and sulfur. And those are two things your plants genuinely need and genuinely run out of. So that is the warning, and that is twice now. Never shake off your kitchen table. The carton from the pharmacy aisle. Now pay attention to this next part, because it explains every pale leaf you have ever stared at. Every green leaf on your balcony is green because of chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is what catches sunlight and turns it into sugar, and sugar is what a plant builds fruit out of. No chlorophyll, no sugar. No sugar, no peppers. And right in the center of every single molecule of chlorophyll sits one atom of magnesium. 1. Think about that for a second. It is the pin holding the whole thing together. And if you take the magnesium away, the plant simply cannot build the green. That is why a plant short on magnesium goes pale rather than brown. Nothing has bitten it, and nothing has infected it. It has run out of the one mineral it needs to make its own color. And magnesium is only half of what is in that carton. The sulfur does quieter work. Sulfur helps a plant build proteins, and it helps a plant actually use the nitrogen already sitting in its soil, which finally explains my $11 bottle. I kept pouring nitrogen into pots that had no way to use it. So why does this happen to a bucket on a balcony and almost never to a garden bed in the ground? Magnesium dissolves in water. Easily. That is exactly why it works so fast, and it is also why it disappears. When you water a container properly, you water until it runs out the holes in the bottom. That runoff is not just water. It is carrying magnesium with it straight out of the pot and away down the drain. Do that every day through July heat, and you have rinsed the magnesium out of that pot the same way you rinse soap out of a sponge. A garden bed in the ground does not have that trouble, or at least nowhere near as fast, because there are several feet of soil underneath holding a reserve, and clay and old compost grab onto minerals and hand them back a little at a time. Bagged potting mix is mostly peat or coconut coir. Wonderful stuff for drainage and for roots, and it starts out with almost no mineral reserve at all. Whatever came in the bag is what you have got. And that is the trap for anybody regrowing kitchen scraps, because scraps live in small containers. Small containers dry out fast. Fast drying means more watering, and more watering means more rinsing. Now, I told you, your plant warns you before it quits. We are getting close to that, and it is going to change how you look at every pot you own. All right, the method itself. I want you to take this one slowly because the amounts genuinely matter. Get yourself a watering can that holds 1 gallon. 1 gallon. Into that gallon goes 1 level tablespoon of Epsom salt. 1 tablespoon. Not a cup, not a handful. A tablespoon is the big spoon in your silverware drawer. Fill the can with warm water, not hot. Warm water dissolves those crystals far faster than cold. Now stir it. Keep stirring until you cannot see a single crystal left on the bottom. Give it a full minute if you need to. And the stirring is not me being fussy about it. A plant root cannot drink a crystal. It can only take magnesium in as a mineral already melted into water. A little pile of dry crystals sitting against a stem does the exact opposite of what you want, because concentrated salts of any kind pull moisture out of whatever they are touching. Dissolved, it feeds. Dry and heaped up, it burns. If your pot is bone dry, water it with plain water first and wait about 10 minutes. Never pour any feeding mix into powder dry soil. Then, pour your gallons slowly around the base of the plant, right where the water normally goes, and keep it off the leaves, and do that once every 2 to 4 weeks through the growing season. 2 to 4 weeks. Not every time you water. That drench is the steady way. But if a plant has already gone pale on you, and you want the green back in a hurry, there is a faster route, and it is the one I use on a pepper plant that quits on me in the middle of the season. You are going to make a weaker mix and put it straight on the leaves. Take a clean spray bottle. Add 1 teaspoon of Epsom salt per gallon of water. 1 teaspoon this time, not the tablespoon. The spray is weaker than the drench on purpose because leaves are more delicate than roots. Shake it until it is fully dissolved. Same rule as before. Spray early in the morning or in the evening once the sun is off the balcony. Never in the middle of a hot afternoon, because water sitting on a leaf in full sun is asking for trouble. And get the undersides of the leaves, not just the tops. The undersides are where the little pores are, and that is where the plant actually takes it in. Leaves can absorb magnesium directly, which is why this works so much faster than feeding the roots. On my balcony, I usually see green creeping back into the pale leaves in about 3 to 5 days. Take your time with it. There is no rush. 2 or 3 light sprays across a couple of weeks does far more good than one big soaking. Now, before you go coating the whole balcony, some plants care a great deal about this, and some barely care at all. The heavy magnesium feeders are peppers, tomatoes, and roses. Those 3. Peppers and tomatoes especially, because they are building fruit all season long, and fruit costs a plant a great deal. Regrown celery, lettuce, and herbs on a windowsill will take a little and be pleased about it. But they are not the ones asking. And here is the honest part, the part that gets left out of nearly everything written about this. Epsom salt will not fix blossom end rot. You have seen it, that sunken black patch on the bottom of a tomato or a pepper. Folks will tell you to reach for Epsom salt, and they are wrong. End rot is a calcium problem and a watering problem, and adding extra magnesium can actually make it worse, because magnesium and calcium compete for the same doorway into the root. Water evenly in mulch. That is the end rot fix. Epsom salt is also not fertilizer. It has no nitrogen, no phosphorus, no potassium. It does one job, and your plants still need feeding. And if your plant is dark green and growing hard, leave it be. More is not better. This is medicine for a plant that is short, not a vitamin for a plant that is fine. If you garden in the ground and you are not sure where you stand, a soil test through your county extension office costs a few dollars and settles it. And that brings us to the part I promised you at the very start. Your plant will tell you it is short on magnesium, and it always tells you in the same place, the bottom. Go out to your pot and look at the oldest leaves, the lowest ones, the ones nearest the soil. That is where this begins. Every single time. Then look at the pattern, because the pattern is the fingerprint. The little veins running through the leaf stay green. The tissue in between them goes yellow. What you end up with looks like a green skeleton inside a yellow leaf. On peppers and tomatoes, you will often see a purple or reddish cast creeping along the edges too. And the tips may curl upward. Now here is why it starts at the bottom, and this is the part nobody bothers to explain. Magnesium moves around inside a plant. It does not lock into place once it lands in a leaf. So when the soil runs dry of it, the plant does not sit there and wait to die. It reaches back into its own oldest leaves, pulls the magnesium out of them, and carries it up to the new growth at the top. The plant is rationing. It is stripping its old leaves to keep the young ones green, because those young leaves up top catch the most sun and will earn the most sugar. It is giving up the bottom to protect the top. That is why your yellow starts at the ground and climbs. And it is why the pattern tells you what is actually wrong. If your yellowing starts at the top on the newest little leaves, look at iron instead, or at a soil that has drifted too alkaline. If the whole plant is yellow evenly and the leaves feel soft and limp, look hard at your watering. And if an entire old leaf goes yellow, veins and all, with no green skeleton left in it, that one is nitrogen. Bottom leaves, green veins, yellow in between. That is the one your $4 carton fixes. Go out and look tonight. If your plant is doing that, it has been asking you for weeks. And that is exactly what the book I mentioned earlier does, page after page, pointing at the spot on the plant for 31 different crops. You can start tonight out of what is already sitting in your kitchen. The 30-day kitchen scrap garden protocol. 31 crops, the $10 starter kit, and the day-by-day plan from your first glass of water to your first harvest. $17, down from $47. One time, $17. And every grocery trip after that is a little cheaper than the one before. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you used to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time, there is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. So, 1 carton from the pharmacy aisle, 1 tablespoon in 1 gallon of water, once every 2 to 4 weeks, and never the shaker off your kitchen table. Tell me in the comments the first scrap you are going to regrow, or the one you have already got going on the windowsill. I read every single one. Next time, I am going to show you what to do with the garlic cloves that have already sprouted in your pantry, the ones you have been throwing out all winter, because that little green shoot coming out the top is the exact reason to keep them. Don't throw it away, grow it. I'll see you next time, buddy.